I'm going to defer to council to take us through the rules for public comment.
Anyone wishing to speak with regard to items on the agenda should fill out a public comment card and submit it to the board secretary. Cards will be received up to 1/2 hour after the board meeting begins. Each person shall be permitted to speak up to 2 minutes as established by the chairperson. I will recognize the speaker and give the speaker permission to proceed. The speaker shall state their name and address for the board records. Those who have a group concern are encouraged to select a spokesperson from the group to address the concern. Speakers are expected to be as concise as possible and to present their questions and comments in an objective manner in accordance with good taste and decorum, and without reference to or insinuations against the board, its members, or school system employees. Disruptions or disorderly conduct at the business meeting will constitute grounds for the presiding officer to ask security personnel to remove the offender.
Thank you. We are going to move on to 1.4, the adoption of the agenda. Do you know if we have any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda? I hear no additions, deletions, or modification. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as provided?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Parker, seconded by Vice President Eames. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We'll move on to 2.1, adoption of the minutes.
It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board adopt the minutes of the January 18th, 2024 public hearing millage roll forward and January 18th, 2024 board business meeting. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes as presented or amended?
Motion to adopt, waiving the reading.
It has been moved by Board Member Batiste and second by Board Member Eames. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to 3.1, it's the superintendent's remarks. I'm going to yield to Dr. Williams for her remarks. Welcome.
All right, thank you, President Baldwin, and thank you, community. Welcome, everyone. Do want to go over a few items from my superintendent's report. Beginning with, we started doing what we call a mental minute earlier this year. And one of the things that a mental minute consists of is just having a sense of mindfulness and just self-awareness. And so we do have a short breathing video that I'm not going to play, but instead what I would like is if everyone could just please take a moment, enjoy the silence for just a moment, and just think about being centered. Relax your eyes or close your eyes for just a moment. We're just going to do 3 deep cleansing breaths. So you're going to breathe in, hold it for just a moment, and exhale. Let's do that again. Breathing in, holding, and exhale. And one more time, let's take a deep cleansing breath in and exhale. Very good. You guys did that at a level of excellence. Mindfulness is extremely important. We live in a busy, busy world, lots of stressors, regardless of whether we're talking about from work, family, health. So please make sure you're taking time for yourself. We use the term self-care, but I've also really began to lean into self-compassion, treating ourselves as well as we treat those who we love and care about. So please be kind to yourself. All right, want to also recognize our employees for years of service. And I think we do have a short video to play. Awesome. You know, one of the things that I always say to our team members is that I'm grateful that they choose NOLA PS and that they keep choosing NOLA PS. We did have our pinning ceremony last week where we had a number of employees that were getting pins for 5 years up to nearly 40 years. So that was awesome. But congratulations to Isaac Williams, who's our capital project manager for 5 years, and Dave Hand, our executive director for enrollment systems, who's also 5 years, and they were just featured in that video. Yay. All right, as you all know, we just closed out Mardi Gras season, and I want to thank the entire community for working with us and our scholars and for helping us celebrate our scholars. We did have a Mardi Gras safety press conference a couple of weeks before Mardi Gras, just so that we could reiterate the importance of safety and the importance of respecting our scholars and our performers during the parades. We, of course, had several safety reminders, from making sure that we cheer on our scholars to having parade buddies. So I want to take this moment to thank our entire community for keeping our scholars safe. I also want to mention that I was at Landry today. I know many of you saw that we did have an incident at Landry, and they had a celebration today. Congressman Carter was there, Councilman King was there, just really appreciating the 2 students that were involved in the incident, and just thanking them for their sensibility in terms of being able to move past that situation and making a tough decision to move past that situation. We have amazing scholars, and I'm just really grateful to this entire community for helping us to keep them safe. Also want to mention a few activities that we have going on for to celebrate Black History. A few weeks ago, we did have a quiz bowl at Bethune Elementary School. We had 2 phenomenal teams that were there, and our scholars were going to come to our meeting on Thursday. I don't believe our scholars here? Yay! Oh, okay, have them come in. Yep, so we did have 2 teams. We had a 7th and an 8th grade team of scholars who were all amazing. And I want us to give a big round of applause to our winning scholars when they come in. Yeah, I learned so much from them. This was a Black History trivia contest, and it was set up like Jeopardy, so they had a certain amount of time to push the buzzer. Yay! I'm going to get a picture with you guys. So we have Cameron O'Neill, raise your hand when I call you, who was our moderator. Amari Buckner, who was our highest scorer. Megan, yeah, awesome. Megan Knox, Hallie Jolio, Demi McPherson, and Aaliyah Wilmingham. And then, of course, our amazing leader, Mrs. Smith. And we just had the best time. Give them a big round of applause. I do have certificates, and I would love for us to get a picture with these amazing scholars. Also want to thank the Blairisms. They are working with us for our Black History productions for this month. The first one was the Quiz Bowl, and it was amazing. Then we also had a debate today with the Arthur School, which was phenomenal. Some of you may recall the Arthur School was here a couple of months ago getting recognized for a national recognition for their debate team. And so I thoroughly enjoyed hearing our scholars, the professionalism that they exhibited, the knowledge, the composure, the confidence, all of that. And I'm saying that for our scholars who are here from Bethune, as well as our scholars from the Arthur School, who we will share more about at the meeting next month. So at this time, board members, I'd love to get a picture with our winning scholars from our Quiz Bowl. Are you? All right, give our scholars another round of applause. Thank you so much for being here and just for your excellence. And yeah, y'all, these were not easy questions. They weren't obvious questions, and they did an amazing job. Both teams did, but this team excelled, and we thought it was important to recognize them for their excellence. So we are so grateful for the work that you're doing at Bethune, for your leadership there, and what you're contributing to our community. So again, congratulations to you all. I mentioned before that we had the debate today with our scholars from the Arthur School, and that will be aired soon, where you'll be able to see that as well. The debate was about, should Black history be taught in schools, in K-12 schools? And so there was a pro side and an oppositional side, and they both did a really good job of breaking down their why, of stating facts, and again, of just being really knowledgeable of the rules of debate as it relates to the time limits and when you can get a point of privilege and so forth. So congratulations to the Arthur School, and I definitely look forward to sharing that video in the very near future. I want to also mention that coming up on Thursday will be our culminating activity. We do have a Black History celebration on Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Ashe Community Center. And just really excited to be able to have some time with some fireside chats with some community leaders and with myself. And again, thanks to the Blairisms for their support for this. I'm also looking forward to giving my first Equity in Action scholarship. And this will be a $1,000 scholarship to a deserving scholar. And we did have a number of scholars who applied. And because we had so many great applicants, I'm also adding an additional $500 scholarship for equity in education. So we'll be giving out 2 scholarships. I want to highlight a few of the or the schools that actually participated in the scholarship competition. We had McMain, Noka, Willow, Warren Easton, Mac 35, and Frederick Douglass. And each of those had several students who did applications for that scholarship. So please join us for that free event. We are asking that you register first because it is a limited space. So check our socials if you want to get more information to register for our Black History celebration on Thursday. I also want to mention that earlier in the month, we did present to the City Council and had a great time just delivering a presentation where we discussed our strategic plan, NOLA PS Evolve, as well as Portrait of a Graduate, the Hub, our Thrive Kids partnership, and discussed Harris funding. The council was very fond of the work that we're doing around mental health, as well as the strategic plan. Did have questions about the services that we offer for homelessness, and they were very supportive of the work that's being done around Portrait of a Graduate. So definitely enjoyed spending some time with our city council. As you know, we do have what we call our Joyful Educator Connection. It's typically the last Tuesday of each month, and tomorrow is that day. So we're really excited to be able to celebrate our educators and to be able to ensure that they know how much we value them and appreciate the work that they do. Also beginning this month, we have professional learning for our teachers. That's virtual learning sessions that I think just wrapped up a little bit ago. So we're looking forward to seeing them tomorrow for our February connection, and it's going to be at the TEP Center. And really excited about this book, Small Shoes, Great Strides. As you know, this is about our very own equity warriors, our very own women who embarked in making sure that our schools were desegregated, and looking forward to seeing Leona Tate, who will be there tomorrow to give us some greetings and to share more about their story. So that's a great opportunity for all of our educators. Also want to give a word of congratulations to our very own board member, Carlos Zervagan. Mr. Zervagan, congratulations on completing more than 20 hours of training and receiving the designation as a certified school board member from the Louisiana School Boards Association. Give him a round of applause.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment.
And Mr. Zervagan, we've got a certificate. Do you want to get a picture? Or do you want just the certificate? Everybody's pretty excited.
All right, I'll take a picture.
Okay, let's get a picture, because this is a big deal. We want to congratulate you for doing this work and being in adherence not only to our policies, but to the Louisiana legislature around the training mandates and the professional learning that I know is beneficial to all of us. And we thank you for your service. So let's get a picture. Just like we did with our scholars. This time, Mr. Zerbagon is our scholar. It's all paid off, see? Yes, you can do that. I think that would be appropriate. All right. Again, congratulations to you, Mr. Zervagon. Also wanted to share information. One of the items on our agenda tonight is a contract for us to be able to provide jobs for America's graduates at middle and high schools within our school district. And the purpose of the contract is to receive a $3 million from the city of New Orleans American Rescue Plan, or ARP funds, to support JAG, or Jobs for America's Graduates, in Orleans Parish middle and high schools. And we do have the city coordinator who is here with us, so when we get to that item, if board members have questions, we will certainly be happy to answer any additional questions. And so this agreement will allow us to move forward with the JAG program. The funding would be used for, again, middle and high schools, as well as non-traditional schools, to support hiring a JAG specialist for each school, cover travel, supplies, and services required by the program. The selection process is a competitive process, so schools will have to express their interest and be chosen for this particular advantage. And the funds will then be transferred for hiring purposes to the schools once they have been selected. So really excited to be able to do this. You know, one of the things that we talk a lot about in education is college and career readiness. And it's important that we say college and career readiness. And the thing I love about JAG is that it gives our scholars opportunities for workforce development, and it doesn't count out college. You know, many JAG students go on to do both. You know, they may earn an industry-based credential, work their way through college, and earn funds doing apprenticeships that are paid and that sort of thing. So it's a great opportunity for our scholars and for our community to be able to partner more closely with our workforce development partners from across the city. I also wanted to announce the siting for the Homer Plessy Community School. Pleased to announce that we did a joint announcement, or doing a joint announcement of this decision. The leadership for the Plessy Community School did request to remain in the building where they're currently located, which is the McKenna building at 1651 Tonti Street. And after reviewing their request, I am granting their request to remain in that building. And of course, we know that they love the French Quarter, but they've stated the fact that the new facility does give them more space for the programming, particularly around pre-K and lab space, and they are excited to be able to spread out a bit in that building. So this decision does reflect a thoughtful consideration of what was in the best interest of our diverse needs of scholars, families, and staff. And so we're excited to be able to make that announcement, and that Homer Plessy will remain in the building, the McKenna building. That concludes my remarks, but I did want to just take one moment to lift up our scholars that participated in a Zero Hunger Challenge over the weekend. Larry Nance Jr., who has been a champion for our school district on so many occasions, wanted to really look at hunger within our community and food insecurity within our community. And so he developed what he calls a Zero Hunger Challenge. And the teams that participated had to do a pitch. So they had to pitch their solution to eradicating hunger and solutions that would improve the the food insecurity that we have within our community. And I wanted to just lift up the schools that participated. We had Frederick Douglass, BTW, Booker T. Washington. Sophie B. Wright had 2 teams, the Willow School and McMain. And they did a phenomenal job of looking at community resources and really being creative around some things that we can do right here in our very own community to ensure that our scholars, our children, and our families are not going hungry. And I was really grateful to Larry Nance Jr. for supporting that and to our schools that participated. And this concludes my remarks, and I'll take any questions from the board.
Any questions, Mr. Zervigon?
Just the one thought that the McKenna campus is such an excellent campus. I've been in that building, and it's really a good match. And just for us to keep in mind of, with the Homer Plessy building, formerly McDonough 15, what we will do to find the money to keep it in public service for the public good. A lot of people are upset at the idea of it being closed, and we're outraged that it might not be a school or might not be a school building or public use building. So then I challenge everyone to help us find the resources to then get it where it needs to be in order to keep it as a public building. I think we need to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Any other colleagues? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much, Dr. Williams. We are going to move on to the consent agenda, and I'll yield to Board Counsel.
Thank you. Moving now to consent agenda items 4.1 through 4.11. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board move to approve consent agenda items 4.1 through 4.11 as presented in Globo. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Eames and seconded by Dr. Batiste. There's no public comment. Board comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Moving now to action item 5.1. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board approve the committee appointments as recommended by the board president. May I have a motion to approve action item 5.2?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved by Ms. Eames and seconded by Dr. Batiste. There's no public comment on this action item. Is there any board comment? Okay, seeing none, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item 5.2 has been approved. Moving now to action item, sorry, that was action item 5.1 that I just read, which was the committee appointments. Now we're moving to action item 5.2. Action item 5.2 is Resolution 04-24, Orleans Parish School Board Member Training Requirements. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board approve Resolution 04-24, recording the completion of training and instruction for school board members for calendar year 2023. May I have a motion to approve action item 5.2?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by President Beaudoin and seconded by Mr. Parker. There's no public comment on this action item. I see no board comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Baldwin?
Yes.
Ms. Eames? Yes.
Mr. Ashley, Dr. Batiste,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Zervigon.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving now to action item 5.3, Resolution 05-24, Canvas Resolution, October 2023. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board adopt Resolution 05-24, providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the result of the special election held in the Parish of Orleans, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, October 14, 2023, to authorize the levy of special taxes therein. May I have a motion to adopt action item 5.3?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Zervigon and seconded by Mr. Parker. There's no public comment on this action item. Is there any board comment? Seeing none, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a roll call vote?
Ms. Baldwin? Yes. Ms. Eames?
Yes.
Mr. Ashley? Dr. Batiste?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Zervigon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving now to action item 5.4, Resolution 06-24, Amendment Number 2 to the FY 2024 General Fund Budget. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board approve the second general fund budget amendment for the fiscal year 23-24. This amendment incorporates additional revenue and transfers of $32,945,602, increasing the total general fund revenues to $58,058,317, and transfers of $16 million, and increases in expenses of $20,345,642 for the total general fund expenses of $57,741,502. May I have a motion to approve action item 5.4?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Eames and seconded by President Bodwin. There is no public comment on this action item. Is there any board comment? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a roll call vote?
Ms. Baldwin?
Yes.
Ms. Eames?
Yes.
Mr. Ashley? Dr. Batiste? Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Zervigon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving now to action item 5.5, the creation and opening of a new school commencing with the 2024-2025 school year. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board authorize its superintendent to create and establish a new school to be located at 2027 South Carrollton Avenue to operate as the Leah Chase School with a grade configuration of pre-K through 8th with slow growth to commence operating at the start of the 2024-2025 school year with kindergarten through 5th grade. Furthermore, the board requests that the superintendent incorporate into the 5-year portfolio plan or some other mechanism a blueprint for the operation of additional direct-run schools that offer high-quality and unique programming. May I have a motion to adopt action item 5.5?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice President Eames and seconded by Dr. Batiste. There are a number of public comment cards on this action item. President Bodwin?
Thank you.
Excuse me. I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Board comment first. Oh, no, public comment first, right?
I think you were about to say something, or,
About public comment.
okay. Mr. Marshall?
I would like to make a substitute motion.
Okay.
Amendment to this, okay. I would like to amend action item 5.5 to state that the board directs the superintendent to operate the new Leah Chase School this year as a K through 8 to accommodate all of the existing Lafayette students that want to attend the school, and to amend Orleans Parish School Board Policy HE to allow Lafayette students to have both a priority in selecting a new school and a guaranteed seat until the end of March.
Just as a point of clarification, Mr. Marshall, there is a separate action item that deals with enrollment, which is 5.6. I don't know if it's the board's pleasure to amend to combine or address those two issues separately.
I am making the motion, so, because to vote on that without knowing whether or not you're going to give them that option, to me, it's relevant that they have that included in this amendment if they're going to approve the K through 8 amendment that I'm suggesting.
Okay. Mr. Marshall has made a motion. Is there a second?
No, because if you vote this,
Okay, there is no second. So the substitute motion has failed. Turning it back to you, President Bodwin.
Thank you. We discussed this at length on last Tuesday at our committee meeting, and I'm grateful for that conversation and for attendance this evening. In the interest of time, I would like to limit comment to 1 minute per commenter with a maximum of 20 minutes of comment, period.
We have a number of comment cards, and I would ask that everyone please watch the time. I will remind you politely at the end of your time and ask you to cease. And please be respectful so that everybody can have a chance to speak. I will also announce the next few speakers in a row so that you can line up at the podium and be ready to go when the person in front of you is done. As a reminder, when you come to the podium, if you would please state your full name and address for the board record. Okay. Our first comment card on this action item is from Dr. Levon Laban. That will be followed by Janet Tobias and then Alicia Plummer. If you all could line up at the podium.
Good evening. Levin Laban, 3648 Louisiana Avenue Parkway, 70125. Dr. King gave us that it's always the right time to do the right thing. At this moment, at this space, at this opportunity, you have the opportunity to do the right thing for our families, for our community, for our children. When history is written about this moment, and it will be, what will it say about you? Please, do the right thing.
Good evening, my name is...
Our next comment card is from Janet Tobias. That'll be followed by Alicia Plummer, and then Leon Shabazz.
Good evening, my name is Janet Tobias, and I live at 3313 Crondelet Street. And we support the schools turned back over to public, direct-run schools.
I, Alicia Plummer, and I'm going to honor you, Ms. Eames. We just want you all to do, we asked you all to do last week. I'm proud of some of the comments, especially Dr. Batiste. Lastly, but I want to say this, and I have to say this. We don't like the code word community. When Mr. Zervigon always talk about community, we want to make sure that this school is not a community school that's only going to take the kids from Fontainebleau, the kids from Broadmoor, and it's going to keep out the kids right across the street from Gertown and Hollygrove. That's what we want to be clear. When he says community, this is what we think he talks about with community, making another Audubon, and we don't want that. We want fairness for all our children. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
As a reminder, if you could please speak into the mic so that those who are tuning in via live stream are able to hear you well as well. Our next comment card is from Leon Shabazz, followed by Ms. Connie LaCour, and then Albert, it looks like Crank. Apologize if I mispronounced your last name.
Thank you for allowing me to engage this body. As a member of the People's Political Party and the Fatherhood Roundtable, we the people within the occupied territory of New Orleans, Louisiana, where New Orleans Parish School Board and district jurisdiction reside, want an immediate end to the legal, illegal, immoral takeover of all people, particularly black people, people of color, by the capitalists and supported by the state. We want the end for the capitalists. We want it right now, as we call slaughter charter schools. But we also understand that we support the superintendent's proposal to directly run Lafayette Charter School, soon closing as the Leah Chase School, and sorry for y'all loss. And it will give you back your control as a government body. It'll start the process, as well as teaches our children knowledge of self from a true her story, his story, and our role in present-day society. It will also stop the bleeding of the failed, costly charter school since conception after Hurricane America Katrina.
Thank you, Mr. Shabazz.
And the road to Angola and the cemeteries by our youth.
Thank you, sir. Our next comment card is from Ms. Connie LaCour, followed by Mr. Albert, and then Aquanette Barnes.
Connie LaCour, 210 Verone Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. I rise also in support of the recommendation that the superintendent has made. I was here last week when the comments were made, and I wholeheartedly support the school board. Our scholars need to be prepared to meet the challenges of the 21st century. And I think that this is the way to begin. We need qualified, certified teachers. I sent my children to the New Orleans Public Schools because I felt we had the best teachers to educate them. And I believe you are moving in the right direction. You are going to get qualified teachers in those classrooms. I'm not opposed to charter schools. We operate charter schools around this country, and they are successful. But I want our children to have the best. That's resources, teachers, and all. And thank you very much for moving with this.
Our next comment card is from Albert Chewy, followed by Aquanette Barnes, and then George Mahdi. And as a reminder, we just ask that everyone would be respectful and honor the guidelines for public comment and not to address their comments directly to individual board members, but to the board as a whole. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Albert Stewart Clark. I'm always here representing three groups. One of them is Leah Jr., one of them is Murder, Mobilization, Racism, and Government Everywhere. Other is the POCC Prison of Conscience Committee. Again, we hope that, this initiative, done in a sense lead to what the public school system have done all of our kids, for years. They've been part of the problem. The child, I got two kids. I got two babies that go to the Lafayette. That school has been a failure from day one. You heard? My kid, my oldest daughter, don't get no homework, don't do nothing. You heard? But anyhow, it's too limited to allow me to talk about, what I need to talk about. Again, we definitely support, y'all closing that particular charter. You heard? All the charter, period. You heard? But as relates to, in a sense, starting on opening as a public school, again, we definitely don't want, y'all to, in a sense, duplicate the failure of the public schools. As somebody alluded to earlier, in reference to, Mr. Plummer said in reference to, creating a community school. We know what that means. White folks, you heard? It's about black communities.
Thank you, sir.
It's always about, our interests, our kids,
Thank you.
Our community.
Our next comment card is from Aquanette Barnes, then George Mahdi, and then Lauren Jewett.
Okay, my name is Aquanetta Barnes. I have no children in school at the moment, but Ms. Janet told
Lauren,
me
could you speak
every
into the
time
mic
I
so
go,
we
I
can all
make a
hear?
comment, so I fill out a comment. Huh? Okay.
Would you restart her time when she
Is there
starts
now?
up?
Is there, what about, is there now? You hear me now? Okay, I don't have any youth in school now, but this is my first time attending a school board meeting in quite a while. But Ms. Janet Tobias told me I'm always making comment, and see, I think out the box. So most people think along the same line, but it's not a straight line. It's being able to think out the box, to give new solutions and new answers. Now, my understanding is that not only just a teacher, from what I'm understanding, not just the teachers in the school, not just public and charter school, but the question is, what you gonna do about feeding our children? Because if they don't have a brain that's fat, because a lot of children they depend on the school meals. And then what happens after they leave school? And I talked to Landrew, and I called his comment line, and I told him, you're gonna stop a program. Before the program ended, people had more than money. So you want to stop a
Thank you,
program,
ma'am.
and now they haven't raised,
Thank you, ma'am.
minimum wage, and therefore they're going to be more children hungry. So you got to
Ma'am.
feed these children brains in order for them to participate right in school.
Thank you,
It's
ma'am.
very
Thank you, ma'am. Our next comment card is from George Mahdi, followed by Lauren Jewett, and then Melissa Francis.
Yes, George Madi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. What's happening with Lafayette is just another example of how the system, the education system, has miseducated our children. After Katrina, you brought in the recovery schools, that failed. You brought in the charters, that failed. Now you're trying to end Black history and, CRT and all this. Instead of testing, you need reading clinics. I said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it whatever time is needed. You need because otherwise you're not helping educate these kids. The education system as it stands is just another racist attempt to deconstruct Black education. And many of the kids are going to fall by the school to prison pipeline. We see that every day with the juvenile problems that we have. Just remember, this is about the kids that
Thank you, Mr. Madi.
that the underserved kids are going to be affected. So do the right thing and let's move on and facilitate these kids because we're
Thank you, sir.
watching and we're going to understand.
Our next comment card is from Lauren Jewett, followed by Melissa Francis, and then Shawan Bernard. And please state your full name and address for the board record.
Lauren Jewett, 604 Sadie Avenue, Metairie, Louisiana. I have taught for 15 years. 13 of those years I've been in Orleans Parish. I come to you tonight. This also happens to be the first day of Public Schools Week, and I here am standing up in support of public education. I support OPSB directly running Lafayette as the Leah Chase School, and I am also in support of this resolution or this action item that the school district operate more direct run schools in the future. The community has been asking for and advocating for this for 18 years. Our community and our city deserve the Leah Chase School as well as other successful quality direct run schools that are accountable to the public. And that is your job as a publicly elected school board. We have the chance to shift away from volatility and policies that often destabilize our communities and shift towards something that can offer hope and rebuild trust and offer fairness to all of our students and all of our families and all of our teachers. Thank you.
Our next comment card is from Melissa Francis, followed by Shawan Bernard, and then Dave Cash.
Melissa Francis, 1419 Frenchman. We're here. We here at Step Up are urging you all the board members to support the Leah Chase School being directly run by you. We also are encouraging all the board members to support the 5-year plan to implement all other schools to be ran directly by the school board. We need to get our community schools back. I know that running schools directly wasn't a part of your September plan, but just like our parents and students pressed through during school closures, we would like you to find a way to fully support Dr. Avis Williams' plan to run these schools directly the way parents and students, as well as teachers, are constantly moving out of their comfort zone. You asked us to speak in 1 minute, and that wasn't even a plan. So, I just like to say we support you, Dr. Avis, and just like I said, instead of saying things out of the ordinary, let's support Dr. Avis' plan.
Our next comment card is from Shawan Bernard, followed by Dave Cash, Lois Adams, and then Bernadette Morris.
Good evening. I too stand in support of the plan presented by Dr. Williams, and wanted to touch on just Ms. Chase just briefly, being that her restaurant was in the John McDonough area where I was a teacher and an administrator for a while. And Ms. Chase, for years, had worked with the John McDonough community. So not only was she a civil rights involved person, but she also participated in the school system, and this would be a fitting opportunity during Black History Month on this day. Today is my birthday. This would be a great birthday present to, after 18 years, for this board to run a direct-run school. It would be a great honor, I think, for the community. We stand with you, Dr. Williams. All of these organizations, whatever support you need, I've been in conversations with a few of them. Just let us know, because we want to help you create a great school, and we want it to be a model that we can then begin to really rebuild this district and provide for our families and children the way we think education will provide and access to them. Thank you.
Our next comment card is from Dave Cash, followed by Lois Adams. Lois. And then Bernadette Morris. Our final comment card will be from, it just says Rev, and the email address starts with GGT. So if that's you, you're the last comment card on this item.
Good evening. My name is Dave Cash, and I reside at 2715 Laperouse Street, 70119, and I'm a teacher at Rooted School, and I'm the president of United Teachers of New Orleans. I appreciate what was said earlier about having this debate on the Committee of the Whole days, but those meetings start at 1 o'clock, and a lot of us can't come to those meetings, so I appreciate you making even limited time for us tonight, or if you could find a way to, I don't know, make it so that we could all come to those meetings. So we're excited for our superintendent to directly run and operate a school. She has a track record of success, especially when it comes to literacy. I imagine it must have been frustrating for her that Act 91 keeps so many of her talents and so much of what she has to offer on the sidelines. I know I feel the frustration. We are hopeful that directly run schools with certified teachers will prove that an all-charter system is not the answer. We are eager to once again welcome the teachers, paraprofessionals, and school-related personnel of New Orleans Public Schools into the ranks of UTNO. For it was UTNO employees of New Orleans Public Schools who built our great union and improved public education in the city in this process. Thank you.
Our next comment card is from Ms. Adams.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to stand in support of Dr. Williams's decision or proposal to bring Lafayette back into New Orleans public school system, direct run. I was a teacher. I noticed y'all mentioned Frederick Douglass several times tonight. At Frederick Douglass under the so-called Recovery School District, and I quit, retired, because the charters took over. So it was bad enough under the recovery school. So I applaud your idea and resolution, and I hope it comes to fruition. More schools do come under direct run, Orleans Parish School Board. And we need to not focus on so much on standardized testing that does not give any indication of our students' potential.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next comment card is from Bernadette Morris, and that'll be followed by a comment card that it just says Rev, and again, the email address starts with GGT.
Good evening. I'm glad to see.
If you would please state your name and address for
Bernadette
the.
Morris, 460 Dandelion Drive. I'm glad to see y'all moving in the right direction, taking over one school. I only wish that my grandson had the opportunity to be in a school that would not be operated under this flawed charter school system. His school is still a failing school. There's no books, no accountability, no reading curriculum. Like they have an Act 438, and they say they should have a proven reading curriculum in all these charter schools, Louisiana schools. He doesn't have one in his. The passion that y'all have for Leah Chase School, I love it. But I wish y'all had that same passion for all the schools. When these people come to y'all and say, y'all see those failing grades, where was that passion then to say, we can't give y'all a chance to get it right? And they don't get it right. And I'm ashamed of the city of New Orleans because this is not the city that I grew up in. And y'all now to get it right, it's urgently that y'all 5-year plan, y'all should have done this 18 years ago.
Thank you, ma'am. Our final comment card on this action item is from Rev. If you would please state your full name and address for the board record.
I'm Reverend Willie L. Calhoun, Jr. I live at 2125 Delaware Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
And I too came in support of what Ms. Eames, my board member, has proposed. My hope this evening is that this board be unanimous in that support. We have all witnessed the failure of the district with not coming to do their accountability job of running schools. So what we are asking today is that unanimously, that this board stands up and say they will support the Leah Chase School, as well as start talking about how we can move to remove some of these other charter management systems and actually put our schools back in a place that we can all be proud of. Thank you for your time.
President Bowden, there are no further comment cards from the public on this action item. Is there any board comment? Okay, seeing none, there's been a motion. Oh,
Sorry, Mr. Parker.
Just briefly, happy birthday, Dr. Bernard, wherever you are in the crowd. Thank you for the work that you've been doing for so long for the students in this district. And I think you're going to get your birthday wish, so I'll be brief. Ms. LaCour, you mentioned in your comments, I think you said it best, that we want our children to have the best, and I think everybody on this board agrees with that. And I've heard comments from, I think, every single one of my colleagues at this point that we want what is best for our children, regardless of what mechanism that is. So that is, I think, the commitment that all of us board members made last Tuesday and hopefully will continue to make moving forward. I ask that the community continue to invest this amount of support and advocacy on behalf of the students of Leah Chase after tonight. Dr. Williams said on Tuesday, I think it was you, Dr. Williams, that what, the discussion that we have on Tuesday matters far less than the discussions that happen afterwards. And so I just encourage everybody to continue to stay involved in the school itself. And I would say to my colleagues, I hope that we as a board hold Leah Chase and any future direct run school to the same or higher standards than we hold our charter schools. I think we don't want a system where there are separate rules for different governance models. And so that will be our work moving forward. I think, Mr. Zervigon, living with you in the policy committee now, I think that is a path that we need to take. And lastly, I'll just say, we have the opportunity in law and policy to do really unique things with direct run schools that law forbids charter schools from doing. So I would encourage us, as we continue down this path with Leah Chase and any other school in the future that may be direct run, that we build things that are unique and innovative and worthy of our students, and not just create schools that look like all the other schools that we have. So that concludes my comments.
Ms. Eames?
Yes, I would like to thank the community for coming out and supporting this. It's been about 18 years in the makings, and we have finally, I think, arrived exactly where we need to be. I would like to thank my fellow board members, because this took a lot of tough love to get where we are. But we all want to do what's best for children. That's at the center of every decision we make. And so we're demonstrating that we are we are talking the talk, and we're going to walk the walk. And so I appreciate everything that everybody has done. And our new board president got it all in her first couple of meetings. And it's been tough, but it's been worth it. And no matter what, if one of the board members felt differently about this situation, once we vote on something, we work unanimously to get it done. And I've seen that with this board before. So thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
colleagues. I think that's all.
See no further board comment. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, action item 5.5 has been approved. Moving now to action item 5.6. Action item 5.6 is a request to spend OPSB policy HE enrollment and to bypass the common enrollment system. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board, 1, suspend policy HE to allow students currently enrolled in Lafayette Academy grades kindergarten through 4th grade and 5th graders who will be repeating 5th grade during the 24-25 school year to receive both closing school priority and guaranteed enrollment at Leah Chase School. And 2, to allow those students to bypass the common enrollment system such that they're able to receive a guaranteed seat at the Leah Chase School for the 24-25 year and a seat at another school through the NCAP systems match process with closing school priority. May I have a motion to adopt action item 5.6?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Batiste and seconded by Ms. Eames.
Before we move on to public comment, if it is, if we may, the board had asked during our committee meeting on Tuesday that we hear from the administration on the feasibility of this, this particular policy suspension and any recommended, changes or updates to make it workable for our families and for our schools as well. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Fatima Fulmore up to give us an update.
All right, good evening. As previously shared, we can enact both items, priorities in terms of giving closing school priority and given a guaranteed seat at the Leah Chase School. However, the concern of the administration is that a child cannot occupy 2 seats at one time, and bypassing the NCAP enrollment system has more than one implication. One, that we are manually interfering with the enrollment process, which could have long-term complexities going forward. 2, by them not actually choosing the school, we are taking away the parent's decision to choose the Leah Chase School. And when they don't do that in the application, then it doesn't free up the seat that they don't want at another school, which creates a challenge for all of our other families in the system who are waiting on those seats that they may have selected with closing school priority. So bypassing the enrollment, NCAP enrollment system does not just affect the students at Lafayette who want to choose the Leah Chase School, but it will have adverse implications for the rest of our families. So we can make it happen without the clause of bypassing the enrollment system. But because of the way our choice system is set up, they have to choose that they want to come, and every family that fits that criteria of K through 5, if they're repeating, will be able to attend the school. If that's where they choose to go, we will take every child from Lafayette.
Dr. Fulmore, that was our concern.
Yeah.
That these people were told the school was closed, so they had to put their kids
Right.
somewhere. And what we didn't want was that families had to wait until June to know that they were going to be in that school. So as long as the administration has something in place so that these parents know that they get first seat in
Yes.
remaining at that school. That was our only goal for coming up with this revised policy. Because I was hearing and getting calls that I've already enrolled my kids somewhere, but I really don't want my kid to go anywhere, but I didn't have a choice. So I need you all to secure, if you get into that building, to talk to parents, have some type of town hall meeting, that parents are satisfied that their kids can stay there regardless to the fact, and maybe, I don't know how you take them off the road, because I don't know how. I know that they're a lot of moving pieces to this. But let's just make those families comfortable. That's our biggest goal with this. And I just want to say one other thing. I should have thanked the staff. I thanked the board members in the community. But the staff worked real hard to get where we are today. And now we're putting another layer on them because we're trying to satisfy these parents and make them feel secure that they don't have to hustle and look for something. Because if we're going to require a uniform, they're going to have to get the money to do that, because it's probably going to be different from the uniform that the kids in Lafayette wore. So that's that was the only
Absolutely.
goal.
And by virtue of the guarantee, just that action. I mean, they will have the seat, but they actually have to choose, like, indicate that I'm coming to the Leah Chase School. That's what the open enrollment process. And just for the board awareness, that happens every year for every child that submits the application. Once they get their main round choice, if for some reason they want to make a different decision, all the shifts happen during open enrollment because sometimes families will vie for a different seat that's available in open enrollment. So they would still have the same opportunity once they get their seat. If they get school A and they're like, you know what, that's what I chose for my closing school priority because I had to choose something, I want to go to the Leah Chase School, they will do what every family does every year and say, I'm going to the Leah Chase School, and it will be done. There will be no other action for them until we get to the part of registration that we have to do where they come in and do registration. That's just a regular practice for school, but they have to go in NCAP and choose the Leah Chase School.
So when will that take place?
So that's the June 5th action.
Right.
Even if they don't do anything before then, it won't expedite the process or make it any more secure in between now. The guarantee that the board is requesting guarantees that they will have a seat at Leah Chase. We will take every child, but they have to mark it on their application.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But for me, and maybe I'm just different, but I think I want to have a number. I want to know, I think we could do some type of survey that parents would say, yeah, even though they're not going to have the opportunity to go in and do it in June, but if we can get in as staff and get a survey, how many do you intend to return, so that we can look at numbers? Because then we'll be in NCAP, and then other children from other schools may want to come, and then they can get in. But I just would like to know approximately how many kids we think we might have there, if that makes sense to anybody.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Mr. Marshall?
There's one thing that we're not taking into consideration at this point in time. The way things stand now, that gives the parents at Lafayette all of the options, which I agree with, right? The difference is if they leave their application in now for their priority school, and they leave it in until after April 30th, that means it impacts other kids that may want that seat that they have. The way this system is set up, if I apply for a seat, and there's only one seat available, and I get that seat is assigned to me on April 30th. That means this other kid has to take another one. They don't get that seat, right? So they hold on to that seat until June 30th. I mean, to June, whenever in June, right? They hold on to that seat. Then when they give up that seat, somebody else may opt for that seat. So that means that kid missed that seat because that seat was held by this kid that wanted to go there. So the thing that I tried to put in the other motion was that we give them a cutoff date, the end of March, prior to the April 30th, which means that we can contact each and every one of those parents. They either take their priority or they give it up and withdraw that application and go to the Leah Chase School. That way they're not holding any seats, they're not impacting anybody else, and we know exactly how many kids want to go to Leah Chase. That's what I was suggesting. Now, otherwise, there's a domino effect for the schools that plan for these kids, as well as those kids that don't get the seats because these other kids have a priority.
So
Now,
thank you for the comment, but in actuality, it is not a feasibility in the way, the enrollment system is way more complex, and you cannot interfere with it when it's rolling, right? So a family has to know what they are declining. Right now, a family, if we tell a family right now, we're going to take away your closing school priority from you before you've had an opportunity to see where you have the option to go, they have to be able to make that choice for them in that moment. Any action that we do right now will be null and void come open enrollment, where they can make the choice that they want. So we can't pull the rug from under them now and say, you forfeit your closing school priority to get the guarantee seat. They get both. So if the families want to attend Leah Chase School, they will choose Leah Chase School. If they choose it now, they still have to choose it in open enrollment, or else it won't free up the seats that they're occupying via the closing school priority.
I understand
Right.
I understand two things. One, in April, we can withdraw those applications and it does not have the domino effect on everybody else. Or we can leave it as it is, understanding the impact that we're having on other kids in other schools.
Right.
So, I mean, those are the choices, and that's why we have to vote. So I just wanted to put on record what those choices are and what it means
Right.
for them and to other schools.
Thank you. Mr. Parker?
Thank you, Dr. Fulmore. I also, just briefly, we heard a lot of praise for Dr. Williams, and I think that's warranted for action on 5.5, but I also want to elevate you, Ms. Eames, and your work on that item. It would not have existed without you, so I wanted to make sure that you got your flowers. Dr. Fulmore, I think my comments are similar to, I think they're similar to Ms. Eames and Mr. Marshall, Vice President Eames and Mr. Marshall. I also have a concern. I don't want families to be in limbo, and I also don't want our families at Leah Chase and our families at other schools to be in limbo. So I'm hoping that we can resolve this as quickly as possible. And I also am sensitive to your point, Mr. Marshall, about schools' budgets. And I don't want a school that is totally disconnected from this situation to end up losing a lot of students late in the game after they have already hired staff and made all the appropriate arrangements to accommodate those students. So I guess my first question is just very kind of straightforward, is do we know how many K-4 students this impacts?
Yes. How many at Lafayette?
That are currently at Lafayette, yes.
Yes. Just one second. So for current K-4 students, we have 200, there's a total of 263 K-4 students, 183 or 70% completed the NCAP.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. So I think in an ideal scenario, at least from my perspective, we would be able to contact those 183 families that have submitted a one-app, and, excuse me, an NCAP, and update, and get their preferences and incorporate that into the match that is run at the end of April. Is that feasible?
No, the match is already running. So we are already going through, and I know this is, and I appreciate the commentary, but I do want to take the time to explain to everybody the layers of it. This is a new application that we have for K-12. This is the first time that the new application is going through the match process. We have roughly 7 weeks of on-ramping of the match process, meaning you have to test and you have to test and you have to test to make sure that it works with fidelity and purity. So when the developers are running this process, anything that you do to detract from that can make the difference in 100% accuracy and 30% accuracy of how the match comes out. So as the applications are running, it's currently testing and running the selections that have already been made. You cannot manually interfere with that process once it's already moving. What I'm saying to you all is that we don't have to do any of that, and every child at Lafayette currently that fits under the K 5 criteria that has been set by the board can attend Leah Chase, there will be a seat for them if that is where they want to go. The seat will be there for them. We don't default put families in seats that they haven't selected just by virtue of our process. So it's not a Dr. Fulmore wants to do, it's if, and people are entitled to their opinions on that, but I have to state it and make sure that we are clear on the implications of the actions that we take. So again, I'm saying we can do closing school priority and a guarantee seat. That is the will of the board. The how we get to it without interfering with 8,500 other families that have applications in the systems is critical to the fidelity of the enrollment system that has been a hardship of this community, our system for more than a decade. So we want to make sure that we are not tampering with, manually interfering with the process once it's up and running, or it will halt it for all 8,500 families, and we would not be able to give any notification of where people are going to school before the summer.
Yep, and that is certainly something that we should be avoiding,
Right.
for sure. And just confirm this for me, if you could. My understanding from when I worked at the Department of Education was that you cannot open the common enrollment system for a select group of families. It has to either has to be open for everybody or for
That's
nobody.
correct.
Okay. All right, I think that concludes my questions. I also want to commend you on your bravery for walking
Right.
past these wonderful women of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated in your
Those
pinky
are
ring.
our sisters. Those are our sisters. So, and we can also, per the request, the survey, as I stated earlier, we can do that for those 183 families to have an idea of what, what they want to do. That's something we can also do.
And also maybe educate them on what it
Right.
means when they get their NCAP match in April, hopefully not April
Right.
30th.
April
Gosh.
30th.
Oh, Lord. Sorry, I'm waiting for my placement too. So educate them, those 183 families,
Right.
that when they do receive that they then have the option to forfeit that, and they know that they have a guaranteed seat. So hopefully that
Right.
will provide some comfort in this unknown time.
Yes.
And then they will know what to do when that time comes to
Right.
go in and select
Yep.
Leah Chase.
Yep.
What happens for kindergartners? Will that be incoming kindergartners? That will be available during open enrollment?
So yes, incoming kindergartners, they have their application in now. So if they're they completed NCAP as well.
But not for Leah, I mean to say incoming kindergartners into Leah Chase.
Oh, no, so that, it would happen the same way
In the
for the rest of
summertime.
the students,
Okay.
yes.
And what happens to the 80? I'm trying to do terrible math. 80 families who were enrolled in Lafayette, are enrolled currently and haven't completed an NCAP for next year. What happens to those families?
They would do it during open enrollment, like all of our families do when they don't submit an application during main round. That's an annual process. If they don't submit during main round, they submit during open enrollment over the summer.
Because their school is no longer, I mean, everybody doesn't have to submit every year, right? So
Right,
just for
no.
the families, for the school that doesn't
Right.
exist. Okay, okay, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Marshall.
Yes. I want to say that in my 11 years, what I know about the NCAP system, that there is a deadline in which a person can change their application online, but there's also a deadline in which the staff can go in and change and withdraw an application that will not impact the system. And it is my understanding from information that I have that it's correct. So March 30th is a date that we could pull those without impacting the system, but it would have to be done by staff. And what I would like to do is leave this open and then have this discussion and pursue this conversation afterwards to see if it can be done.
I've
Okay.
already stated the feasibility based off of, that's the only information I have to give.
I think I'm going to call the question. I think we're ready to vote. Sorry, Mr. Zervigon, I didn't see you there.
I guess bottom line for me, when will we have a clear idea of enrollment? We're looking for 350, minimum of 350. So not everyone's going to return. We're going to get kindergartners in. We've got the market for that. We're going to have really, push this thing, let everybody know it's a brand new school. When will we know enrollment?
For the Leah Chase School, we won't know until at the very earliest, June 5th, because other families, in addition to Lafayette families, may also have interest in it. So as we're sharing more about the Leah Chase School and we're doing our outreach and they hear it, they might say, oh, you know what, that's the school that I'm interested in as well, and they may want to attend, and they don't currently go to Lafayette, so they would submit that during open enrollment as well.
So it really is going to be an open enrollment process. That's when it's going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. And just, I guess my ask is whatever we can do to try to make sure that families understand what's going on, that they're offered some stability. Because over the last 2 months, there's been radical instability for the community. And what's going on is we've had many, many extreme sea changes regarding this decision. So just everything we can do to make sure that they're up to speed on what's going on, they have some idea what to expect, and we can know as soon as possible, I guess, open enrollment, what the school is going to look like and get it up and running and do it really well. It's sort of a soft, nuanced ask, but that we do as much as we can to give the community as much stability as we can possibly offer during this continued transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Batiste.
Thank you. Dr. Fulmore, just for a teachable moment, based on all of the conversations that we've had tonight, I think the biggest thing that our families from the Lafayette School should walk away knowing, based on what you said, and if I'm correct, is that even though they may have put in an application to go elsewhere, now that the board has brought this decision to bear and with a vote tonight, if it were to pass, those students and those families who wish to remain there are guaranteed that they will have a space even though they have applied elsewhere, as well as those families who have not applied anywhere at this time, they're guaranteed a place in that school.
That is correct.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Batiste. Okay. Wonderful. We'll ask for the media's assistance in getting the word out. Yes, one second. We'll ask for the media's assistance in getting the word out on what families can expect this summer as well. So thank you in advance for that assistance. Right now, we have a motion on the agenda, on the table, which is the old language. I would like to move to amend the language, and I'll ask Ms. Halpern to read the amended language.
Thank you. Okay. The language for the proposed amendment is as follows. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board suspend policy HE to allow students currently enrolled at Lafayette Academy in grades kindergarten through fourth grade and fifth graders who will be repeating fifth grade during the 24-25 school year to receive both closing school priority and guaranteed enrollment at the Leah Chase School. And that has been moved by President Beaudoin. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Dr. Batiste. Okay, we have several public comment cards on this action item. As a reminder, please come to the podium, state your full name and address for the board record. The first comment card is from Alicia Plummer, and that'll be followed by Leon Shabazz, and then Albert Chewy.
Just as a note for everyone, this is a new item. We hadn't had a lot of discussion Tuesday. So we'll do the standard 2 minutes for comments for this one. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't need to. I just want to say that this, that just happened proves of what the legislative auditor said about this so-called choice with the one app. It's not choice, it's chance. And when you have a majority of black children in this district, but the majority of the whites go to the better schools, somebody's manipulating somewhere. And I think you all did not protect the families Mr. Chewy's daughter is a student at Lafayette. You all did not protect those families, and you should. I'm not going to be long, but it just proves that this here foolishness that has been going on for 20 years needs to stop today and do whatever it takes to protect our children.
Our next comment card is from Leon Shabazz, followed by Albert Chewy, followed by Aquanette Barnes, and then George Mahdi.
On behalf of the People's Political Party and the Fatherhood Roundtable, I'm just going to say this here. Y'all just showed me a reason why we got to undo this process. You never had this problem if you had neighborhood schools run by the New Orleans School Board. It's chaotic from its inception, and I told y'all, and I don't know, I'm not going to pick you say now don't target no school board members, but y'all know your kids now have to go through this process. I got one right over there. Oh, I got it through the system. Oh, I'm just so happy. But I know all the other children, they my children too. I'm fighting for them too. Because we got a roll, y'all see what the government do, we got a roll to Angola, and they always say, when you do your research, because I've been doing research on Delgado, those so-called best and brightest that come out these charter schools, and they not making it at Delgado. Nah. But y'all talk, oh, look how many scholarships they getting, but they're not meeting the muster. And Ms. Superintendent, I applaud you, and let's stay engaged with us, okay? Because it got to be a community, not this term community, because some people don't have our best interest at heart, okay? But really, people of color, this is our school system. We're not going nowhere, and we want success. Thank you for your input there, Doctor. Thank you for your input just a while ago. And that's all I wanted to say.
Our next comment card is from Albert Chewy, followed by Aquanette Barnes, and then George Mahdi.
As always, my name is Albert Chewy Clark. I'm always here representing three groups. One of them is neighborhood unity. One of them is MERS mobilization and racism in government everywhere. I was the POCC President of Conscience Committee. Again, as I said earlier, I have two kids that go to Lafayette. And, you know, we had already applied for the one app, you know, and they was telling us that there was a school that's in there that was supposed to be slated to open up. I think they said Esperanto, that's my kids were saying, you know, and, but anyhow, you know, some of the teachers were saying that the school that was slated to open is not an ideal school, it's not a good school, you know, so I don't know if y'all have anything different, any better information, but we applied for one app and we applied for different schools. But considering y'all vote, we would definitely like our kids to go back, you know, to Leah Chase, you know, and I know it's going to be the same name or what?
It'll be Leah Chase.
It'll be Leah Chase? All right, well,
Yes, sir.
we would like our kids to go back to that same school. So, you know, I don't know what type vote y'all going to take today, you know, but, you know, I'm just letting y'all know I'm on the record, you know, I like my kids to go back to the school because, again, you know, we in the area, you know, and, you know, it'd be an uphill struggle to transport them across town, you know, to another school, you know, and you know, I mean, that's where we're at, you know, but, again, we also like to remind you, as I said earlier, you know, about, you know, the failure of the public school board. I'm a public school system, you know, again, you know, I'm a public school student. I remember it, but I remember it was different as it relates to black kids versus white kids. Yeah? I remember all the, you know, the books that we got, they were old books. They came from the white schools. Never was new books, never had nothing in there to deal with black people, black history, and black
Thank you, Mr.
experience.
Chewy. Our next comment card is from Aquanette Barnes, followed by George Mahdi.
Now, I'm trying to understand this process. From what I get, you say enrollment cannot be changed. Everything can be changed. And I agree with the board member here, that process, I do agree with. So what I'm saying is that everybody was at Lafayette School, they automatically get a spot at Leah Chase because the name just changed. To me, like the only openings there would be are the children who are graduating from Leah Chase and going to a more advanced school, or people who've decided not to return. Now, I can understand too why they might be choosing two schools. You know, because the difficulty in enrollment like that, you got to have something else put in place as well for your child to be at. And from my understanding, this is what I interpret. Like I said, so how many spaces will be available when the children at the highest grade move up? We know those spaces gonna be available to choose. You understand what I'm saying? And people that Leah Chase automatically has their spot. I mean, automatically has their spot at Leah Chase. So then, like I said, anybody who choose to go to another school, that's in the lower grade. And this is my understanding that I'm getting from the interpretation. But enrollment can be changed. There's a thing about enrollment cannot be changed. Everything can be changed. Man make machine lie, man lie. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. That's the process should be, the process in which you want it done. I agree that's the process of enrollment, and that's the way it should be done. And
Thank you.
that's all I can think.
Our final comment card on this action item is from George Mahdi.
Yes, George Mahdi, Neighborhood Unity and Merge. We feel that this open enrollment process is suspect from the beginning. It is shown to be. You know, they eliminated the neighborhood school concept. They get these kids up and get them early in the morning and bus them all over town. They're in no frame of mind to study. I know if I was bused across the town every day, had to get up, I wouldn't be in a school frame of mind. And this is what's happening. This is why we have the failures we have in the school system. And, you know, this is all tied to, you know, and plus, not only that, these kids lose their ties to the community. So the community fails in a sense, because you know, school is the economic engine of the community. That's something that's vital to making progress for a community. So what this does, all this does is a contrived racist effort to resegregate the schools, because what it boils down to, it comes to selective admissions. That's what it comes down to. That's the base, that's the bottom line in all this. So, you know, I mean, so let's get it straight and let's look at other systems that might be more, better served to serve the kids, such as the lottery. Why not use the lottery system? You know, and that way kids are guaranteed you know, to go to certain schools in certain numbers. But see, that's why this whole system is suspect.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
you're using this system that's going to have failure built in it, it's not going to work.
Thank you.
There are no further public comment cards on this item. Is there any board comment?
Mr. Parker?
Just have a question. I think, Dr. Fulmore, this is for you, or maybe President Bodwin, it's for you. So what I'm hearing is the recommended action will allow students who are currently at Lafayette to receive closing school priority during the main round. And then there'll be guaranteed open enrollment. There'll be guaranteed enrollment at Leah Chase in open enrollment. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a.
So there's a amendment on the floor that was proposed by President Bodwin. That has been seconded. We are now going to vote on I believe President Bodwin was about to call a question, so we're voting on the amendment on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendment has,
I abstain.
okay. The amendment has been approved, and now we need to vote on the motion, assuming that there's no further board comment, vote on the motion as amended. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Again, I abstain.
And any abstention? Okay. Action item 5.6, as amended, has been approved. Thank you. All right, now moving on to action item 5.7. Subrecipient agreement with the City of New Orleans regarding Jobs for America's Graduates, Louisiana. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board approve subrecipient agreement by and between the City of New Orleans and the Orleans Parish School Board, Jobs for America's Graduates, Louisiana, for the purposes of the American Rescue Plan grant funding in the amount of $3 million to support the implementation of the Jobs for America's Graduates program. May I have a motion to approve action item 5.7?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Batiste and seconded by Vice President Eames. There's no public comment on this action item. Is there any board comment?
I would just like to say one thing, that I am involved with the JAG program at McDonough 35. We're doing a great job with my Links chapter. We're bringing in speakers to speak to them, and we're taking them on field trips, and we're doing some things that they get the international exposure through our program. So thank you for the JAG program. It really is a wonderful program.
President Parker, I'm sorry, Mr. Parker?
Thank you. Very important correction.
Sorry.
My first question, I think, Vice President Eames, you just illuminated for me that JAG currently exists at 35. I just wanted to know what other schools we have that currently have JAG, and are they also able to benefit from this money, or is this just about new programs?
We do have other schools. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I can get them to you, and they are eligible for this as well. One thing that was brought to my attention by our partners at the state is that the pandemic did kind of impact the JAG program. They were starting right before the pandemic, and so got off to a little bit of a rocky start due to that. And so certainly we want to re-engage the schools that are already familiar with JAG, but other schools will be eligible as well.
And is JAG, so this is for 10 schools, is that right? Am I reading that correct?
Our initial year, we want to do 8 to 10 schools.
10 schools, okay.
Ultimately, I think we have 20, 18 to 20 would be the goal ultimately, and they're
Yeah.
Middle and high schools.
Okay, that was my next question, is this available for middle school students? Which is great, it sounds like it is, that's great. Can somebody summarize for me what this is paying for and what it doesn't pay for schools? Because one thing that I want to make sure that obviously our schools are going to make informed decisions, but I don't want them to be committed to long-term costs if this funding does not cover that.
Sure. So the funds are to cover for the schools to be able to hire a JAG specialist at their school. And then it also requires some travel for professional learning and even for the students' travel. So the field trips and so forth that they have to go on, or that they get to go on, I should say. The supplies and any of the services that are required by the program. So the expectation is that this will cover expenses that would not be a part of day-to-day schooling in the first place. Those expenses that are tied directly to having the JAG program would be what these funds are designed to cover. And you had mentioned about the sense of urgency is so that we can go ahead and finalize the school selection because there's lots of amazing professional learning in the summer, and we do want to make sure that our coordinators have every opportunity to be successful so that they can hit the ground running when they return to school in the fall.
Got it. Two more questions. The first is, how does this intersect with the Career Center and all of the other programming? The Career Center, Junior Achievement, I think STEM NOLA has a career pathway, something now. How does this intersect with all of that?
I would say it works in tandem and alongside any existing programming that we have. Like I said before, the purpose is looking at opportunities for workforce development, which aligns perfectly with what we have at the Career Center. And so for me, an ideal scholar would be one that is at the Career Center and that is also involved with JAG and may have some engagement through an apprenticeship that intersects the work that's happening at the Career Center and at JAG. And the same for our middle school scholars who might be doing work with junior achievement. We have enough of a challenge as it relates to workforce development, as it relates to getting those industry-based credentials, and as it relates to making sure that our scholars are workforce ready. There are enough challenges for this to absolutely marry well with what we currently have, and then even support some of the gaps that might exist within the programming that we have.
Okay, and then my last question in my 30-minute-old role as finance chair is the indirect costs rate is listed as TBD. Do we know when that will be determined?
Yeah, we don't have any definite indirect costs that have been determined. So no, I don't know when it would be determined if there are any indirect costs. My expectation would be, based on how I've seen JAG work before, would be if there were some additional people, chaperones or something that needed to attend field trips, or some additional resources that would be an addendum to the programming that's already in place. Those might be some indirect costs, and much of that would likely be available for schools to use either title funding or Title II or Title I funding, or for us to add some additional support from the $3 million ARP funds.
That is what I was referring to as our indirect costs, because I would imagine there will be some district.
For the district itself?
Yes.
Right. So no, we have not identified any specifics, and that's why that's to be determined. And again, when I think about it, from the lens of the work that we do here, I don't have an anticipation of any specific indirect costs.
My hope is that we would apply the same indirect cost rate to this that we do with any other federal funds. So I'm not looking to, get a big chunk of this money. I just think we should make sure that if our staff are if our staff are furthering this effort, which I think we should, and I think
Absolutely.
is great, then we should apply whatever indirect cost rate we typically do and receive compensation for that.
Ms. Villavasso is here if you wanted something maybe explained more clearly. She's in the audience from City Hall.
I would love, if you, Ms. Villavasso, if you have been in communication with any schools thus far, I would love to hear about the conversations that you've been having with them.
Yes, I think it was 35. We had a conversation towards the end of last year when we started talking about using the JAG program as a preventative measure. Just from a workforce perspective, we've been getting the data regarding high school graduation, dropout, and truancy, and it impacts us on the back end. So it was my hope that we could partner with NOLA Public Schools to assist them with mitigating a lot of the issues that they were having regarding dropout, truancy, the whole 9 yards, or even just successfully matriculating onto graduation. Another area that we were having issues with, a lot of those participants come into the Career Center, and if we are trying to assist them with attaching to high-wage, high-demand jobs, they're not reading, writing, and doing math computation at the 8th grade level, which automatically disqualifies them for those high-wage jobs. So we had McDonald 35, we had, I think, the Rooted School, we had the school, I can't name the school that's in JJIC, and we had maybe 6 or 7 high schools that were in the net, 6 or 7 high schools that were interested in the program, and now we have hired a director on behalf of the City of New Orleans to oversee our best interest in this, because we do have an interest in this, and she's Chantel Pentin. And she's the director of the JAG program for the City of New Orleans. So she could have more, she has more insight on the exact schools who she's been reaching out to, having those conversations. But there is an interest, and there's an interest on the city as well. We're using 3 pillars with these ARPA funds: prevention, which is the JAG program; prepare, which we have an amazing partnership with NOLA, the New Orleans Career Center, and prevention, prepare, and connect to high-wage, high-demand jobs, which we're partnering with nonprofit organizations to be the backbone organization for our sectorial partnerships.
Great, thank you. And thank you for bringing this forward to the board and and ensuring that this funding makes its way. I think the root of my question is I wanted to make sure that we weren't creating parallel structures to things that already exist. And it sounds like there's a lot of
Alignment.
overlap and alignment, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of alignment. We didn't take this lightly. We had conversations with all stakeholders to ensure that we're not stepping on anyone's toes. We want to be very respectful of the school system, but also understanding how what doesn't happen on the school system side impacts workforce development and ultimately the economic ecosystem here in the city of New Orleans. So I do want to assure you too, it would be minimal, no cost really to the schools. We've allocated
Great.
$3 million. We've done a budget, of course. We've allocated the indirect cost to you guys, so we've taken that out. And we're making sure too, to ensure that we have the best and the brightest specialists. We have allocated $70,000 for the JAG specialists as far as pay. The only thing we're asking is for the school system to do what they always do, the fringe benefits, but we're paying the salaries and for everything else.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for bringing this forward and for answering some of my questions tonight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any further board comment? Okay, seeing none, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action item, any abstentions? Action item 5.7 has been approved. Moving now to action item 5.8, State of Louisiana Cooperative Endeavor Agreement regarding the Innovation and Stability Committee. It is recommended that the Orleans Parish School Board approve the State of Louisiana Cooperative Endeavor Agreement for the benefit of the Innovation and Stability Committee, which provides for a line item appropriation to the Innovation and Stability Committee in the amount of $150,000 and authorize the Board Council to prepare the CEA for signature. May I have a motion to approve action item 5.8?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Marshall and seconded by Mr. Zervigon. There's no public comment on this action item. Is there any board comment?
I'll let Mr. Parker go first.
Oh, please let somebody else go
All right.
first.
Thank you. So as I understand this, Mr. Marshall, this is an agreement that's required for the district to receive money that was allocated by the state legislature. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and you have laid out in here the budget of certain of 5 or 6 different sort of programmatic areas, right?
Are you referring to the focus groups?
No, I'm talking about marketing, fundraising, grant, domain email accounts, social media management,
Yes.
website design, and I guess, and then the focus group management. And so you have budgets. Were these budgets prepared, or these amounts prepared in coordination with the district about how much it would cost to have these, to do these?
No, because it was done with outside contractors.
Okay, so somebody else has determined that it would cost $4,800 for social media management.
Exactly.
And that's, who would be, for example, the social media manager? Is that somebody we're expecting the district to hire with this money?
No, it would be somebody that would be under contract.
Contract with the district?
Yes.
Okay. And so, okay. I guess I'm confused
It would be
because this
brought
is.
forward for the district to meet, to interview, to know who's doing the work and to be comfortable with them, of course.
I have another question sort of about the wording of this document. Is this the standard, doesn't look like the standard CEA layout that we approve as a board for things?
It's per the state's questionnaire that they have, the form that they have to fill out.
And so this is based on the form, this is the format that the state requested?
It is a format that it's no more specific as to what format they need than what's there, as far as I know. Now, if it's not in the exact format, then I could certainly use the help of the district to put it correct format if there's a different format.
Ms. Bowden,
Recognize Ms. Halpern.
it appears that what has been submitted is attachment A, which is an attachment to the CEA template. My understanding is that there's a CEA template that the state has, and then as part of that template, there's some specific information that's requested, and the document that's in the board binder and in board docs labeled attachment A is that specific information, but is not the CEA itself.
Correct.
So we're not approving then an actual CEA this evening if we haven't seen it.
You're approving a plan that would be used to create the CEA by the staff.
Okay, the action item is to approve a CEA. So that's what I don't understand. That's where I'm confused. Okay.
President Bodo and I would tend to agree with you that there is not a CEA before the board, and that if it's the board's pleasure to amend the action item to clarify that the recommended action is to approve the plan and then authorize council to prepare a CEA, then perhaps that would solve that gap.
I would accept that
Right, it
amendment.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
not a board member, but that was just my suggestion.
That would satisfy that one concern. It would not satisfy the other concerns that I have with this, which primarily come down to a lack of coordination with the district and with the administration, who would then be responsible for, I believe, would be responsible for accomplishing this plan. And I am hesitant to have the district, implement a plan that they have not had any, they haven't given input, they haven't had, they may not be able to do it. So I think I'm hesitant in that way. It does not feel like it was yes, Ms. Eames.
I'm sorry. I thought the monies were coming to the district and that these were monies secured by fellow board member Marshall, but that once we received the funds, then the superintendent and her staff would develop the plan that to implement this innovative stability plan, because it's not committee, plan for the district. So I guess we can hear from the superintendent, if the board doesn't mind, to see, if this is feasible, is this something that, I know we don't want to turn away money, but if we can use this money to better our students and develop the leaders and what have you, but we're not going to be doing it. It's the superintendent and her staff from, I guess, that's the way it should go. So I guess I just need to hear from you.
I'll recognize Dr. Batiste first, and then we'll go to Dr. Williams.
And Mrs. Eames and to Ms. Bowden, the same concerns that you were talking about, I've already had those conversations with the author of this item, and I believe that it gets us into the weeds of what needs to happen. I think that the idea that Mr. Marshall worked to get these monies, I think that this and his idea and his plan should be coordinated in concert with the superintendent and the administration, because this goes into how, in great detail, and the what is really what be the reason why the monies were appropriated. So with that having been said, I share those same sentiments that you all have and say that I vow to never step on the playing turf for the superintendent by directing her not only what to do, but how to do it. And that's what my issue is with this.
Thank you, Dr. Batiste. Dr. Williams, if you want to respond to Vice President Eames.
Sure. So Mr. Marshall and I have had quite a few conversations about this, and the challenge for me is that it doesn't fit our strategic plan. And we do use the strategic plan as a roadmap for the work that's being done as a strategic plan of action. You know, and even when I look at like specific parts of it, there are things that are part of this that we do, but we're not doing it to these specifications. And the idea of hiring someone and paying them $4,800 for social media management, I honestly don't even know what that would look like or what that would mean. And, you know, when a domain for a separate email, and, you know, some of it, for me, it's not the work of the district. It looks more like the work of an education foundation or an outside organization. And as superintendent, I don't know where, when we think about the board having governance and us having administration, to me, this blurs a line to where the district is responsible for managing a board committee up to and including from a personnel standpoint. And that's not the work of administration. And again, it just doesn't fit the work that we're currently doing with the strategic plan.
Thank you. Ms. Eames?
I'm sorry. We certainly don't want to refuse $150,000 for innovation and stability, but I just think it should fit into your plan that you have in place. And so I guess I would want to know, is there a way that you can incorporate this in what we have, and would that meet your appreciation, Mr. Marshall, that we have the innovation and stability piece meshed in with what we already have in place?
Is there anyone else that wants to make a comment about this before I speak?
Mr. Parker?
Yeah, so Mr. Marshall, I know I've given you feedback on this outside of the meeting, but looking at I think some things have changed since that feedback. So looking at the money that is allocated for an operational manager, who does that person report to?
The operational manager?
Yes, the operational manager and focus group manager.
He would report to me.
Okay. I certainly don't feel comfortable with somebody reporting to members of the board individually. That's my personal opinion. I also, frankly, I'm a little concerned that we maybe have gone outside of our typical procurement procedures. The specificity of these numbers, to me, it concerns me about how this money would be spent, and I think we could potentially run afoul of either our own procedures or ethics considerations. So that is another concern that I have. And I guess my question is, for my last question for board counsel is, the action that we take tonight, the $150,000 that was allocated for the Innovation and Stability Committee, if this action did not move forward, that does not preclude the district from using that $150,000 for another purpose, correct?
I think that's a question for Mr. Marshall, who has secured the funds. I have only been provided with the document that's in board docs.
Got it. But then my question is, if the board chooses not to move forward with action item 5.8, that doesn't mean that the $150,000 disappears. That means it is still available for approval for some other use.
Mr. Marshall?
I'm not sure. I would have to go back to Dr. Bowie, who got the appropriation for specific reasons.
Yeah, my understanding is that the appropriation was not specifically for this CEA, but for the Innovation and Stability Committee.
There is a concept that I put forward within the Innovation and Stability Committee to work with the community, to engage the community as a shared responsibility for the work of educating our children. And I put forth in the Innovation Committee several focus groups that we could organize to be engaged in the work of developing programming to assist our schools. To give you a metaphor, to bake a cake and give it to them as a researched and developed concept of how we would do student leadership training, how we would do a recognition and motivational program, to get our kids to want to show up and do their best in schools, to work with parents to create viable parent organizations on school campuses. All focus groups generated by the community, okay, bringing forth expertise in the community, bringing forth people to get our kids more exposure to arts and music, a number of focus groups that would help our students, okay? But I have not received any support from the district to make any of those things happen. So Dr. Bowie arranged to get a significant amount of money to move that agenda forward. But the gain in the discussion with the district, I have not had any cooperation or help to move that agenda forward to help our children, to help our schools. Okay, so this is my way of attempting to do it on my own with those funds. Okay, so we're having this conversation tonight to put it on the agenda to see how we're going to go about doing these kinds of things and engaging the community in the work, which is sorely needed. For us to even begin to deliver on the promise of a portrait of a graduate, it must become a shared responsibility with the community. Now, how do we do that work? How do we have that conversation? How do we do it? That's what I'm attempting to do. Okay, so I'm ready to have it. Okay, maybe this is the beginning of having serious conversation on how we move that work forward.
I think I'll conclude my comments just by saying and I think many of our colleagues agree that the cake needs to be baked. But to extend the analogy, I think we need a different recipe to get there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the recipe. Let's talk about how we go about getting those things accomplished in earnest, not just lip service about it.
I think, Mr. Martin.
Ms. Ames?
I think as board members, I don't think we should be directing staff or, if we bring the money and we go out and we all seek the funding, that's wonderful. But once we've done that, I think, as Dr. Batiste said, that's where we stop. We can't have people reporting to us. We don't even have, Ms. Brown is our secretary, but other than official business, with this board, we don't really direct her to do anything. So that's where I might have a problem.
Well, let me say something then. We've put forth something on the agenda that I abstained for, that I voted no on, because we have allocated tonight $150,000 to hire an outside consultant to come and do the work similar to this, not the exact same work, but there's some components of that that's included in this that we as a district are spending to do similar kinds of things. Okay? I just want to make sure that we're focused on children and that we're putting things in place that are going to actually impact children. And if it's the same thing if we go out and raise money and get any kind of grant, we could get a grant like JAGS or anything, and we could hire an organization to do just that, have a focus on how do we engage the community and have a shared responsibility with the community to bring forth expertise in terms of focus groups, solution circles, call them what you want, but bring forth those people to actually build programming and things that we can give and help our schools do this work. It's time for us to begin to have these conversations in public and move the needle forward. There are people that I talk to that want to give resources and everything else, but they don't see us actually doing work for children.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second?
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Any abstentions? Okay, it seems as though action item 5.7, I'm sorry, 5.8.
Actually, okay, what were you about to say?
Action item 5.8 has failed.
Well, there was, is 4 to 4 votes, 2 didn't say anything.
Well, I discussed trying to fix it that I could vote for it, so I guess I have to vote no.
Okay.
Can I move for a roll call vote?
Did you make an amendment to fix it? Would you like to make an amendment?
I think that would take a minute to do, if you don't mind. I really wanted input from the superintendent to fix it. I told you my big concern, too, as a board member, is that we shouldn't be supervising anybody like this. That's the way I feel as a board member. I think it's necessary. I think the money could be used, but I've also said let's let the superintendent bring us a plan or bring us ideas on how she can integrate this, and for the specific purposes that you want to give this to the children, building the leadership in our students. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's necessary, but I just don't like all of these components. And so I don't mind. I'm supposed to be on the Stability and Innovation Committee, but I haven't sat down with you I've heard you talk to me, but we really, and I know you have tried, and I'm not going to say you have not, but I had bigger fish to fry and then to work on that at that time. But I don't mind spending some time with you that we can come up with something. But after we come up with what we would like, the superintendent needs to take this, and we need to get feedback from them. And so that's why I'm not in agreement with what's written here.
I think we have a roll.
A request for a roll call?
Yes.
Ms. Baldwin,
No.
Ms. Eames,
No.
Mr. Ashley, Dr. Batiste,
No.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
No.
Mr. Zervigon.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay, moving now, I'm sorry, let me turn it back to President Bodwin, to our section 6
yes.
of the agenda.
Sorry, the time is now 7:34 PM. May I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second. I have a motion by Dr. Batiste, a second by Mr. Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will now move into executive session.